But we're going to start with Democrats putting a great big exclamation point on the 2022 midterms. CNN projecting incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock has defeated Trump-picked Republican challenger Herschel Walker in Georgia's runoff election. President Joe Biden calling Warnock to congratulate him, tweeting this as well. Tonight, Georgia voters stood up for democracy, for our democracy, and rejected ultra-MAGAism. Warnock got emotional as he thanked his supporters.
My roots, like the roots of those oak trees, go deep down into the soil of Savannah and Waycross and Scriven County and Burke County. I am Georgia.
Well, Herschel Walker was quick to concede, sort of. You have to really listen to the language and what he said. He didn't really talk about his opponent, just thanked his supporters, vowing to never stop fighting for the people of Georgia.
There's no excuses in life. And I'm not going to make any excuses now because we put up one heck of a fight. And I said, that's what we got to do, because this is much bigger. This is much bigger than Herschel Walker.
So, look, you guys don't want to see me this morning. This is who you want to see. John Berman, the guy of the hour, the man of the hour, besides Raphael Warnock, I should say, or at the Magic Wall. Everyone wants to know what happened. You've got the numbers. You have the evidence. So take it away.
Look, here's the margin. First of all, Raphael Warnock with a 95,000 vote margin, about 2.8%. Compare that to just 1 month ago. The general election was only 1 month ago. You can see Warnock led by 0.9% and 37,000 votes. So he's grown that lead. Where has he done it? Let's look at where Warnock overperformed 1 month ago. Almost everywhere, right? Almost every county here is lit up. So let's look at it a different way. Where did Herschel Walker underperform? And this is telling. Look at this, because what do all these areas have in common? You have the Atlanta area, the urban and suburban area there, right around Columbus, right around Augusta, right around Savannah. What all these areas have in common, it's where the large population centers are.
Yeah.
The bigger the circle, the more the population. All the big circles really in those areas where Herschel Walker underperformed. And what's interesting, and I think as you talk to Republicans over the course of the morning, what you'll find, the areas they're most concerned about, the suburban areas around Atlanta. Take Gwinnett County, for instance. You can see Raphael Warnock won Gwinnett County. What's the math there? By about plus 25. Let's do D plus 25 in Gwinnett County. That's a big margin, especially when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes. Just 2 years ago, that margin was D plus 21, okay? In the presidential election, which was right around that time, it was D plus 18. Go back to the presidential election in 2016. Hillary Clinton, it's D plus 6. See a trend there?
I do.
It's growing or getting smaller, depending how you look at it. In 2012, Mitt Romney won Gwinnett County. 10 years ago, you went from Republicans winning that county by, 9 points almost, to now you have a Democrat winning it by 25 points. Yeah. That's a remarkable turnaround. And again, these are the suburban areas, and you lived there for a time, Don. You know, it's not just urban Atlanta, it's these growing suburban areas that are booming where Democrats are gaining in population and gaining in popularity.
It's areas that are more diverse.
Yep,
as well.
absolutely.
But listen, that's why, people say, well, Georgia is a pink state or purple or whatever it is. But look at all the red there. I still consider Georgia to be a red state. That's just my personal opinion. The cities and the surrounding suburbs, blue. But, if you look at the vast majority, at least land-wise, area-wise, it's still a pretty red state.
It is, but geography doesn't vote. People vote, right? So you're looking at all the red counties. I'll put that up again, where Walker outperformed.
Geography votes, though, in national elections.
Yeah. Well, with the Electoral College, it has a little bit of an advantage. But you look here. Look, Herschel Walker did better in Dade County than he did 1 month ago. But you can see you're only talking about 5,000 votes. Yes, he did better. He got 2 more percent than he did 1 month ago. But you're dealing with 5,000 votes. And you compare that to, Don, you compare it to Fulton County. Again, you're talking about several 100,000 votes. DeKalb County, several 100,000 votes. It's where the people live right now, and particularly in suburban areas that used to be Republican strongholds. Cobb County, right here. This was Newt Gingrich lived here. And now it's voting for Democrats by 20 points.
Wow. Now that is a fun fact, so to speak. John Berman, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Donald, great to see you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Caitlin.
Don. And Don, we're looking at those numbers. Let's bring in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's political reporter, Patricia Murphy, to talk about this. One of the things we were watching last night were how these candidates fared in November versus how they did last night. As John was just highlighting there, Warnock doing much better in those metro Atlanta areas. Walker did okay in some of the ruby red areas, the rural parts of the state. But what were your biggest takeaways of what changed from just a month ago to this runoff election?
So as John Berman laid out really, really well, Herschel Walker had one job to do last night, and that was to expand his lead in those rural areas to really start to run up his numbers and to catch up with where Brian Kemp had been just a month ago. Herschel Walker didn't do that. He even shrank in some of those rural areas. He grew his numbers in some cases, but only by 1 or 2%. He needed to grow that by 5 or 6%. And so we didn't see him do that. And at the same time, Raphael Warnock did expand his lead in the big metro areas around Savannah, Augusta, Columbus, Atlanta, of course. And so they both were dealing with a change in enthusiasm. It really felt like Herschel Walker's enthusiasm for his candidacy really fell off almost a cliff. You could feel it in the state, and you could feel Raphael Warnock and the Democrats say to themselves, okay, this party just lost 8 statewide elections in November. We have one more chance to win statewide, and that was Raphael Warnock. He also ran a totally different campaign from Herschel Walker, reached out to those moderate and independent voters, and he was everywhere all across the state throughout the runoff. And Herschel Walker really kept a very limited schedule, didn't get back out to the areas he hit before. And so you just saw that in the numbers last night.
And he actually took 5 days off the campaign trail. I know that's been a source of frustration that I've heard from some people in Walker's campaign. He came out though last night and conceded, and his campaign made clear, yes, that was a concession speech.
Yes, because in his speech, he didn't say, I called Raphael Warnock. He didn't say that. He didn't say, I officially concede. But he wasn't saying that he won. He did call himself and his supporters winners, but really just we won because we tried and we did our best. But afterward, his staff did tell reporters that was a concession. There's going to be no attempt to challenge these results. And I think it's something that the state really needed to see from Republicans. This is the first time that we've had a Democrat win statewide since the last elections, and Herschel Walker coming out and conceding and sort of stepping off the stage. I think that's something that the state needed to see, and I think that's something that he did well last night.
And you know Georgia so well. What John and Don were just talking about there is, what does this mean for the state? Does it mean it's more of a purple state? But as you noted, Republicans won every election on the ticket statewide, except for Herschel Walker's seat. And so what's your sense? Was it more about the reflection of the state, or was it just candidate quality?
I think it's both. I mean, you can't ignore the candidate quality of Herschel Walker. During the runoff period, he also had his major gaffe about vampires versus werewolves. There were more accusations of abuse against him that came out as well. So he had a really bad runoff campaign after a really tough general election campaign as well for him. Just not a great candidate. However, what we see in Georgia right now is that this is a true battleground state. A candidate from either party can win. And that's a place that Georgia hasn't been in decades. I can't remember the last time somebody could say, I'm going to run statewide, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and there are reasons for those national parties to get behind them because they've all got a really good shot at winning this state. It's winnable right now for both parties.